gonna die.
All of you are going to be held accountable. Go.
The best thing we can do
is ready at the tooth of where we get there.
still to love them and to bless them.
This is unnecessary.
Why are you leaving?
There were about 4 trucks ahead smashing windows.
Are you gonna report the truth? That's what we're doing.
They're ready to move, eh?
Be kind. Be gentle. We're winning.
This will change. This will end. It is the people against the politicians, not the people against the people.
Gas released around 10:30 this morning, police calling it a chemical irritant to stop assaultive behavior towards officers. A hot-button strategy as they continue to move in on protesters for the second day now. These are live pictures from downtown Ottawa at this hour. There is still a crowd of protesters gathering in an area around Bank Street, just a few blocks from Parliament Hill. Good evening, I'm Stefan Keys. We welcome viewers from across the country tonight for this special edition of CTV News Ottawa. Several still standing firm in spite of more than 100 arrests the day before. Day 23 and the tense times in the capital show no signs of slowing as police officers from across the country assist with efforts to take back the streets around Parliament Hill. CTV's Colton Prail has been on the front line since early this morning. Colton, tell us where you are right now and what's happening.
Stefan, right now I'm on Bank Street, just south of Queen Street, and as you can see behind me, there is quite a large gathering of people. Parliamentary police, along with OPS and the rest of the forces here in the city, have slowly been pushing people out of the parliamentary district, pushing them a little further south, a little further west, and this is where the party is at tonight. You can hear the music, you can hear the chants of freedoms, fireworks going off just a few moments ago. There are a ton of celebrations happening here at around Bank and Spark Street to Bank and Queen. Police have been pushing through. We saw an armored vehicle there earlier. They've since moved from Wellington all the way down to Spark Street, really expanding that perimeter as they've done throughout the city. We saw that at Metcalfe Street, we saw it at Elgin Street, and they're continuing to push protesters a little further south, a little further away from that parliamentary district. Right here is the largest gathering we've seen since Metcalfe Street this afternoon. There are several hundred people here on Bank Street, crowded together, celebrating, waving flags, chants of freedom, making the most of what could be one of the final nights here in the protest. We heard Ottawa police say that this is an opportunity today to break the back of the protest. They're certainly seeming to do that. We saw a number of vehicles leaving Wellington Street throughout the day today. This is why one truck driver said he needed to go home.
Arrest would not be the worst thing. Damage kind of sucks. It's my livelihood. But we're trying to remain peaceful, so there's enough pushback. We made our point, and we're going to really solidify our point if we remain peaceful.
Now, the majority of the vehicles that have been entrenched in the more residential areas of Ottawa, like Lyon Street, Kent Street, Metcalfe Street, all south of Queen, have actually been pushed out. OPS say all vehicles, all trucks south of Queen have since been removed, and that was a large number of vehicles. We know that police are saying they've towed more than 50 vehicles so far. They've suspended commercial licenses for 11. They've seized 22 license plates in the city, and they're saying that anyone who has their vehicle impounded is going to have to wait a full week before they can get that truck back. So a number of the truckers that were on Wellington that we saw leave throughout the day all told me they were leaving because they were worried about what could happen to their vehicles and potentially their livelihood if it's damaged. Stefan.
All right, we'll check back in with you in a bit. CTV's Colton Prail reporting live for us tonight. Thank you, Colton. Turning quickly now to a different vantage point. Police put up a large fence to secure the War Memorial here in Ottawa. This too comes as police expand their footprint, shrinking the area occupied by protesters who refuse to leave. CTV's Jeremy Sharon not too far from there tonight. Jeremy, how are things where you are?
Stefan, it's quiet here. We're at the intersection of Queen and Elgin. As you mentioned, just steps in front of the War Memorial. This is an area where police have fully taken control now. As you mentioned, there's been fences put up, an entire section of the downtown core here around the memorial, all the way down to the Westin Hotel, across Rideau and Sussex. That intersection completely fenced off. Now, here at this intersection in front of the War Memorial, we've been seeing over the last several hours trucks coming out, trucks being towed out. Now, earlier today, we saw swift movement from police. It started early outside the Chateau Laurier. Police moved up Wellington Street. They had been holding that position overnight. They moved up Wellington Street, and it happened quickly. They continued throughout the day to press protesters all the way down Elgin. They took over control again of Wellington Street out in front of the Parliament buildings. They spent all day doing that, mounted units, several units throughout the day, using all kinds of tactics to continue
we're not up
down.
there in their faces. We're just here to observe and to show our support. It's long enough. We should have been here the last couple weekends, and we weren't because we've got small kids, so today was the day.
I think showing children and the next generation what freedom is all about, how to fight for what we want in a peaceful way. I think there's nothing more educational than that, in my opinion. So this is actually, it's a historical moment. It's something that I think, children should be a part of, or at least be aware of it.
So there you just heard from some of the protesters we were able to speak with today. We've had varying experiences. Some have been peaceful, some have been willing to speak to us, others have not. Several times today we've been harassed, have had to move from our locations because we've been threatened at times. So it's been a very fluid situation, and certainly tensions have been high throughout the day today, Stefan.
CTV's Jeremy Sharon reporting live for us tonight. Thank you, Jeremy. Evan Solomon, host of CTV's Power Play and Question Period, has also been in the mix, talking to protesters while facing some verbal attacks as well. Evan, correct me if I'm wrong, you were spat on today. Was that the worst of it?
Yeah, some guy spat at our, as we were doing a hit, spat towards us, right at our, walked over and spat. We called Nazi. Look, the media doesn't want to be the story. And myself, all my colleagues on any network, Glenn McGregor, Andy Bergeron, Oliver, all of us, Colton and Jeremy, we've all been subjected to lots of harassment. I just got off the streets after spending the day at the front lines. And anytime we did a hit, the protesters have a lot of frustration at the government, at mandates. They've got a lot of reasons to be unhappy. But as the end game has happened, as they've lost ground, their leaders have been arrested, accounts have been frozen, the state has exercised its full power. And it is a power, by the way, being debated right now in the House. Like, it's still going on. The debate will go on tomorrow, and they'll vote on it. So it's not as if this is not a lively debate, as if the protesters think they're the only ones debating it. This is the use of force, and the Emergencies Act is a big deal. But the protesters turned on the media and any journalist they thought was part of the mainstream media. Look, I think most of us have experienced this many, many times. And again, our job is to try to give an authentic version of what's happening. And what happened today were two different parallel paths. Finally, after 22 days, finally police in Ottawa got the resources. The police chief said through the Emergencies Act, which allowed the federal government, the provincial government, and the municipal forces to work together to begin this multi-day long methodical and, in the end, inevitable taking back of Parliament Hill and the streets around the parliamentary precinct. Now they're moving down. The protesters are getting pushed as fencing's going up, pushing them back down. Now you saw in Colton and Jeremy's report there around Bank Street, which for those folks that don't know is the western southern part below Parliament Hill. A lot of protesters are gathering there. The police chief is promising that those protests are not going to remain there. That's a very residential area. There's lots of shops. They are going to keep pushing. There have been a lot of arrests. The night continues. This operation is continuing. There are still kids around the protest that we've been seeing. The mood has changed. So there's a more hardened group who are just not going to leave. And so, while the police may rightfully be able to say, look, we successfully deployed a massive operation. We've done exactly what we're told, what we said we were going to do with minimal incidents. There have been incidents of pepper spray, and there will be reviews of the use of force and whether or not there was excessive use of force. But this operation is not over. That's just on the ground, Stefan. Politically, though, this has just begun. There's going to be a pursuit of a lot of the illegal protesters legally, from injunctions, class action lawsuits from the city and from the federal government through the awesome powers of the Emergencies Act. And then, of course, the political fallout of this, well, that's just a story that's beginning. Support for this, not support. Is this about populism? Where does this anger go? These are questions very much still echoing through the city.
And questions we will continue to ask. CTV's Evan Solomon, thank you for that. Now, police made early gains today in their bid to reclaim Wellington Street, home to the convoy encampment for 3 weeks solid. But they say ending the occupation is proving to be complicated. CTV's Natalie Van Roy in studio with more. Natalie.
Well, tensions were high throughout the day as police moved the line of protesters from the Chateau Laurier past Elgin Street and eventually onto Wellington. The operation is being called a slow and methodical approach. Officers eventually retaking the area around Parliament Hill, pushing protesters off Wellington Street. Police moving in Saturday morning around 9:15. After regaining control of Rideau and Sussex Friday, the operation focusing on Elgin, Wellington, and the area by Parliament Hill. A push to remove the Freedom Convoy demonstration that's occupied Ottawa for 3 weeks.
We believe in freedom. We think that the mandates that Trudeau's trying to impose on the country on international travel, it's ridiculous. The truckers is just the beginning. Armored vehicles rolling in.
You must leave. You will be arrested.
Arrest would not be the worst thing. Damage kind of sucks. It's my livelihood. But we're trying to remain peaceful, so there's enough pushback. We made our point, and we're going to really solidify our point if we remain peaceful.
47 arrests Saturday, 170 arrests in total. 46 vehicles towed since Friday.
They just arrested him.
Police alleging protesters aggressive and assaultive, forcing officers to use pepper spray.
We've been very clear from the beginning, as this has escalated and as protesters have not heeded the urging, the warnings, and then the direction to leave our streets, that we would need to escalate in our tactics.
By 11 a.m., the police line moving protesters onto O'Connor. In a statement, convoy organizers said they asked truckers to move from Parliament Hill to avoid what they call further brutality at the hands of police. In an effort to control crowds, 100 checkpoints still set up in the red zone. The 3-kilometer radius monitored by officers who won't let protesters in, only those who live or work here. But some people seen walking through Saturday afternoon. The occupation closing interprovincial bridges, including the Chaudière Bridge, to prevent an influx of protesters. After retaking Parliament Hill, the focus on downtown neighborhoods.
I can't overstate. We are in this until it is over.
For all the gains made Saturday, it's still not clear when this could be over as protesters move into other areas. Meanwhile, Bylaw says they have issued 3,600 tickets so far. Ottawa police say they have taken 21 people to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. In terms of the number of criminal charges, police have not provided an update yet. There also hasn't been a total price tag for the cost of this operation. Officers have come in from all different areas of Canada, including as far as British Columbia. Savon.
CTV's Natalie Van Roy reporting live for us tonight. Thank you for that, Natalie. Police issuing several public messages on social media today. They've said, protesters, we told you to leave. We gave you time to leave. We were slow and methodical, yet you were assaultive and aggressive with officers and the horses. Based on your behavior, we are responding by including helmets and batons for our safety. Another reads, as officers moved forward, the smoke you saw was not caused by police, but protesters. We urge protesters to remain peaceful and lawful. Another reiterating protesters continue to launch gas at police. Police response will be with public and officer safety in mind. And police are saying much misinformation is circulating online. They say rumors of a woman being trampled and ultimately dying simply are not true. We're about to show you the video that has both Canadians and Americans outraged. We warn you, it is difficult to watch. The close call garnering a very strong reaction. You can hear the crowd reacting to the tense moments as the horses are used to push them back. Online, many have shared it, alleging the woman died. The video is hard to watch, and police allege freeze-frame images have been doctored. Tonight, we are reporting that her niece says she has a broken clavicle, but is very much alive, posting a statement to Facebook and this short video surfacing on Instagram.
Yes! Hero! Are you alive? Born to be alive. Let's go, let's go, let's go!
Interim Police Chief Steve Bell is here with us. Police Chief Bell, you provided an update this afternoon, and this is the first thing you addressed. What more do you have to say about it?
Yeah, thanks for having me tonight, Stefan. As we indicated, we early on got video, or we got images on social media that were inaccurate and misinformation that we were seeing. So we reviewed the information, we reviewed the video we had, and put out the accurate and correct information around the incident.
You've been fielding multiple calls about this all day, as well as several calls criticizing your response. You have a message to people tying up the lines at the police service.
Yeah, so one of the things that we saw very early on was people involved in supporting the protesters, demonstrators, were actually looking to tie up police resources and police lines. Our call center agents, our communication center agents have done an amazing job in really, really difficult and challenging circumstances to make sure that we can weed out that disruptive behavior and still be able to take the calls for people in our city that are calling us to get our help. So I can't speak highly enough about the work that they've done to make sure that the services we have continue in spite of the efforts of people to disrupt them.
You mentioned the amazing job. Demonstrators are clearly upset by the enforcement measures, but politicians and those with experience in policing are in fact praising how the operation has been carried out. So can you expand on that and the progress made today?
So yeah, Stefan, thank you very much for that. What I can tell you is I'm proud of the people I work with. The officers that have gone and spent the last number of weeks planning for this operation, and then the people, the members of police services across the country that have shown up and come to help our residents of our city free the streets of this illegal demonstration is nothing short of incredible. We have identified earlier on in the week that we had a plan. It was going to take time. It was going to be properly executed, very methodically, with the adequate number of resources. And I think what you're seeing unfold on the streets is exactly that meticulous, thoughtful, methodical, safe, lawful plan to remove this demonstration from our streets.
The criticism does say otherwise. Some people have described it as excessive force or police brutality. Do you have anything to say in defense of that criticism?
So there are mechanisms that can be followed, and people will be able to channel complaints into the appropriate place to be reviewed and investigated. What I can tell you is I've been on the ground. I've been watching the footage both from the television as well as from internal footage we have, and what I see is a vast majority of extremely professional, proud members of our police service and other police services executing the plan that we asked them to execute.
Now, kids were still in the mix today. What's the update with regards to children and their parents?
The update is the same as it was yesterday. Do not bring kids to this demonstration. This is an unlawful demonstration where police operations are unfolding. It is unsafe for children. It is not the place where they should be, and we implore parents to not bring kids down here. We continue to work with our partners at the Children's Aid Society. They've been an excellent resource for us as we've navigated through this, and we have not had any interventions with children yet where they were needed to be removed by the CAS, but we'll continue to monitor it, we'll continue to work on it, and we'll continue to put the safety of those children first and foremost.
Okay, so no children put into CAS custody. Quickly, before I let you go, can you give us an update on the situation at Coventry? And you're not committing to a timeline for this to be fully over?
No, I've been pretty clear from the beginning. Once we started this operation, we are going to finish it. What I can tell you is this demonstration is over, yet it hasn't finished yet. We will continue to work through the night, through the coming day or days until ultimately the streets are taken back, and that's every pocket of it, the downtown core, Coventry, or any other area where these demonstrators may have set up, so that the citizens of Ottawa get their streets back.
All right, that's Interim Police Chief Steve Bell. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Stefan.
I'm being arrested by these officers right now. This officer here.
Today, we're also learning more about the charges against one of the convoy leaders, Pat King, arrested yesterday. He has been charged with mischief, counseling to commit the offense of mischief, counseling to commit the offense of disobeying a court order, and counseling to commit the offense of obstructing police. A reminder, at least 3 convoy leaders charged: Tamara Leach and Chris Barber Thursday night, in addition to Pat King just yesterday. Let's bring in CTV senior political correspondent Glenn McGregor now. Glenn, Tamara Leach remains in custody tonight, as does Pat King. We're hearing some lawyers suggest today's proceedings for Leach seemed exceptionally long. How did that go down?
Yeah, they were fascinating proceedings. This is a bail hearing application. So Tamara Leach, who is the de facto leader of the Freedom Convoy movement, she was the face of the fundraising campaign. She was arrested on Friday night on similar charges to those leveled against Mr. King. And Leach has, in court, has asked for to be released on a $5,000 bond and bail and be allowed to return to her home in Alberta. The Crown Prosecutor is saying, not so fast. No, we don't think you are going to obey the law and any terms on the court order that are placed upon you because you have shown in the last few days that in the last few weeks, that you do not respect the rule of law. And even when you were being arrested down on, I believe it was on Slater Street at Metcalfe, she was shouting the words, hold the line, hold the line. And the idea being that they are concerned that she will continue to spread that message illegally to other people who are her followers in this movement. And then there's the other factor of this is if she's ordered to leave town, we don't know how she's going to be able to do that because she has had her bank accounts frozen. And her husband, who came to visit her here in Ottawa on February 2nd, he was giving some testimony, and he said he had arrived here on a private jet. Believe it or not very working class images there, but apparently somebody had booked a jet for him to come. So the judge kind of at the end of the day said, hey, I'm going to have to think about this some more. I'm not going to make a decision on whether Ms. Leach will be released on bail she'll make the decision on Tuesday. We don't know if she'll be released at all or if she'll be released with some heavy conditions and some maybe a much higher level of surety, a higher amount of bond payment that she will have to make. But for now, Ms. Leach will spend tonight, tomorrow night, and Monday night at the correctional facility on Innes Road. Stefan.
All right, and we'll keep an eye on that come Tuesday. CTV's Glenn McGregor reporting live for us tonight. Thank you so much for that, Glenn. Ottawa's Mayor Jim Watson joins us now. Mayor Watson, you faced some harsh criticism through all of this. If you could do things over again, what would you change, if anything?
Well, first and foremost, better intelligence coming from our intelligence sources that these individuals were coming not just for a protest, but they were bringing enough material that they wanted to become squatters and occupy the streets. And secondly, how these vehicles came and were not stopped by anyone on Wellington. Excuse me, Wellington is not a truck route, obviously. It's the most important street in the city because it houses the Parliament buildings as well as the Supreme Court. So these kinds of things are going to come out in the report that my colleagues, Councillor Hubley and Tierney, asked for a full independent review. And then under the Emergency Act that is being debated as we speak, they also have to do a proper and independent review because we have to find out, A, what went wrong, and B, how do we prevent this from happening again? Because there are probably a lot of copycats out there, and the last thing we want is next weekend or July 1st for more of these yahoos to arrive in Ottawa and cause such angst and disruption in so many people's lives.
Mr. Mayor, I don't have to tell you, local politics have been viewed as extremely petty in the last little while. Some accusing you of laying blame at everyone's feet but your own. How would you address some of those comments being made by Ottawa residents?
Well, first and foremost, my duty and my preoccupation is to help those individuals who have been suffering the most in Centretown by getting the trucks out of those areas as quickly as possible, getting the resources to the police by working with our partners at the federal and provincial level, and not being sidelined by political sniping. That's the last thing we need in the middle of a crisis. My view is that we have to get the city back, give it back to the people, number one. And secondly, how do we help those businesses and employees of businesses who have basically been in a lockdown, first with COVID, and now as a result of the truckers? So I was very pleased the federal government, Mona Fortier and Yasser Naqvi, announced a $20 million fund to help those businesses that have suffered because they just couldn't open their doors. There's a lot to do over the course of the next couple of months to bring the street back up to a proper standard, throw out all of the garbage. I've asked our city manager, for instance, how can we take possession of all of those trucks that have been towed away? And I was so delighted to see so many tow trucks involved in the operation. How can we confiscate those and sell those trucks to help pay for some of our costs? Because I don't think the taxpayers of Ottawa should be paying for this multi-million-dollar bill that we're going to be saddled with because of the irresponsibility and the illegal activities of a bunch of truckers and others who showed little regard for our community and its people.
All right, there are trucks leaving on their own. Still, there are those who are part of this protest who say they're winning in spite of everything we're seeing. Politicians like yourself have said you've made your point, go home. But what's different? What kind of changes or actions will come from them proving their point?
Well, none, because the Prime Minister refused to meet with them, and I agree he shouldn't be meeting with them. They are trying to roll back the hands of time with our battle against COVID-19. Ottawa, as you know, Stefan, over 90% of the people have 2 vaccinations. We understand science. We support the scientists and the physicians at our public health unit. And these people want to turn us back into the Stone Age where it's like we don't need a vaccination. Well, I'm sorry, but the problem is that if you become ill without a vaccination, it's the rest of us paying your tab for the ventilator in the hospital. We have to understand that this was all about vaccinations and masks, and we're not through with COVID-19, far from it. So it's completely irresponsible on the part of those truckers to come in and take over the Ambassador Bridge, take over our downtown, take over a crossing in Alberta with no consequences. We've issued over 3,000 tickets. There have been, I think, close to 100 criminal charges that have been laid. And I want to see what we can do to get dollars from these organizers and from these groups to help bring down our costs, because as you know, it's over $800,000 a day just for police costs. And we're going to be looking to the federal and provincial government for help on that, because it can't just be done by Ottawa property taxpayers.
All right, Mr. Mayor, I do have to let you go. Thank you so much for your time tonight.